Hi folks. Okay, so I'm totally don't know what I'm doing. Whoopsie, yeah, and that's why it's just suddenly so bright. Will you guys be able to see me in this chair? I think so. My glasses are broke, so that's a problem. Oh yeah, you're not gonna be able to see me. Let's move. I'm gonna pause it. Pause. I hope you all got to enjoy the look of technological confusion on my face a moment ago. Found this the other day. Not quite my colors, but almost. Purple. Love purple, love green, love orange. Love red. Coral roses, orange and red, with a little bit of yellow, the best thing. Okay, so here I am in the Elmwood District, the beautiful Elmwood District, and let's face it, the very privileged Elmwood District. And I have an Elmwood District story to tell. And we're running out of batteries, so I'm going to try not to talk too fast, but there's a little bit of time pressure. First of all, I didn't have anything that seemed weather appropriate, so I found this in my closet. I had to step over a bunch of clothes that were just lying on the floor. It was chaos. This is my dad's Union jacket. I found this in my closet, and I thought, I guess I could wear that, I don't want to get any, stains or smells or anything on any of my late dad's clothing, even though it's been so long since he passed away, early February 1999. So I'll show you when I can the Union label on the back. He loved working for the Union. He was not that happy working as a mechanic for the city of Berkeley, especially because his coworkers teased him that he wasn't that great, and his supervisor gave him the backhanded compliment. I'd rather have somebody like you who works so hard than those technically great mechanics. Backhanded compliment. In other words, you're less good than everybody else, but you work so hard. Well, it's something. I'm sure he meant well. No, my dad was kind of like the second in the area for the Union, and he liked it because it gave him a chance to feel like Johnny Cochran. My dad was a big fan of O.J. Simpson. It was hard for him when he started to think maybe O.J. was guilty. Anyway, opinions still differ. Controversy, conspiracy theories. I say that respectfully. I don't disapprove of conspiracy theories. Did you hear my goddaughter talk about 9/11 and jet fuel can't burn that hot and all that stuff? Anyway, so I put this on so I could go to the 7-Eleven and get some of this because my shoulder and back were hurting. And so here's what happens. I'm walking into the 7-Eleven, and there's some guy. Hard to tell if he's homeless or not at all because he kind of's got middle class clothes on, but then sometimes homeless people do. I don't know what just fell on me. But he's yelling at the clerk about blah 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 Ron, and they didn't have the nerve, but we had the nerve, and we did, or they didn't. I don't even know. I had no idea what side he was on. I just heard blah 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 blah, yell yell yell, something Iran, yell yell yell. And it was kind of hard to get into the store because at first I wanted to just stay out of the store, because I would have to go a foot and a half close to him, not social distancing, and closer than you want to get to a belligerent sounding yelling person to get in the store. So I thought I would wait outside, and then I thought if I wait outside, he's going to see me waiting, and he's going to be like, were you listening, or what are you, what are you looking at, or something. And I was so I just snuck in quickly past him, just as he was, and right after that he left, and I looked at the clerk. I had my lavender mask on, and I looked at him, and I just kind of rolled my eyes and went, which I've never done, but I knew he would mean I wasn't, I was flirting with him. I was going like, right. So I got my stuff and feeling a little bit better. Pain relief, not my preferred form of pain relief, but it's what's available to me right now. Little tiny quarters and thirds and fifths of Ambien throughout the day would be my preferred form of pain relief, strangely enough, for fibromyalgia. I've never heard of anyone else using it that way, but it works for me, and people who understand the medication tend to get that could help, but I don't think anyone's ever written about it or anything. So I go and I get my stuff, and water, and the this and the that. I looked for cream cheese. The guy at the desk doesn't know what bagels or cream cheese are, even though they're selling bagels now, but it's new. So I asked him, do you have cream cheese? And he kept saying, what's cream cheese? It was funny. Just cultural differences. He hasn't been here long enough to learn that kind of stuff. That makes me feel sad. I'm sure there's something delicious from Nepal, where he's from, that I've never had. In fact, they just closed the Essence of Tibet place, and yeah. So I got up to the counter, and I was talking to the clerk about, so what was that guy talking about? Iran? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I have opinions about Iran too, but I made a YouTube video. I don't yell at people about it. And I said, I'm sorry you guys have to deal with that stuff. It must be really hard, you know, because I've worked for the public in various different ways. As a clerk in a restaurant, or as a cashier in a restaurant, and I spent several years, a lot of years of my life, like 7 or 8 years, working as a receptionist. And sometimes people wander in off the street. One time a guy came in off the street and his hair was all matted and he had red on his face and neck, and I thought he'd been hit by a car. Turned out he was just a crazy person. But you never know, because every once in a while somebody really is. I once came across a lady who was having a seizure. She was sitting in a wheelchair and she was having a seizure and her head was down. She was throwing little pieces of bread out of her, you know, her lap. And I said, "Are you okay, ma'am?" And she looked up at me and one of her eyeballs was filled with blood. And I went, oh wow. And she managed to give me a card even though she couldn't talk, and I called the place. This was before cell phones. I ran to the library and to the payphone and called some people, and they came and picked her up. But right before that, a couple able-bodied young people, you know, at my age back then, because I was young back then, walked right by. I'm discovering in my situation with my beautiful goddaughter, people don't understand epilepsy. They don't understand you could die. They don't know the signs of it. They don't know the signs of a person, dust on the screen, a person having a seizure. Every time you have a seizure, you could die. You could fall and crack your skull, or you could just die of the seizure. So I had a conversation with the guy, and I was embarrassed that I kind of conflated Nepal. And asked him, where are you from originally? And he said Nepal. And I said, oh, the place, you know, Essence of Nepal, they're closing. And I was like, oh, it's actually Essence of Tibet, isn't it? I think the place across the street is, he into like organic Nepalese fashions or something. And then he was like, well, we have tons of people from Tibet in Nepal. And I was like, oh, I was relieved. He was letting me off the hook. And he said, and they speak Nepalese, or they're either in Nepal or they're in India, because, you know, the Chinese, you know, invaded their country and they can't stay. I was like, right. I said, yeah, I'm not happy with the Chinese government right now. I love Chinese culture. I said 2 of my grandchildren, my step-grandchildren, are half Chinese, and they're beautiful. And yeah, I love Chinese culture, but I'm not happy with the Chinese government right now. And he was saying that they'll throw you in jail for anything, or kill you for anything, for any small mistake. And I said, yeah, isn't there that religious minority group, the Famulan, I don't know, but they just pull their organs out without their permission, and then you just have to like deal with the repercussions of that, right? And he was kind of like, yeah. And I said, yeah, no, I love Chinese things, but I'm not happy with the Chinese government right now. I said, but I don't scream about it at people. And then I left, and the guy said to me, ma'am, do you have any change? I could really use some change. I really could use something. I said, I don't have any small bills, but is there something you want to buy? And he said, oh, gee, I don't even know what I would buy. And I said, well, you know, maybe there's something you'd want to buy? And he said, can I come in? I said, sure. And then he was like, I just cleaned my hands. And I thought, yeah, I just did clean my hands too. Don't worry about it. I mean, how could he be cleaning his hands? He's living on the street. And he came in and he kept saying, is there a hamburger? Is there a hamburger? And I was like, there's some stuff with meat and beef, and maybe there's this like club sandwich. It's good. And this tuna and egg salad. And I was like, oh, that's pulled pork. And he said, I don't eat pork. And I said, okay, yeah, I don't blame you. And then I decided I didn't want to restrict his choice or anything, so I went up to the clerk and I said, can I have change? And I gave him the $10 bill he'd given me back and cash back. And he gave me 2 5s, and I was like, and I had explained that I wanted to pay ahead for the guy. And I was like, do you have any ones? And he was like, oh, yeah. So he gave me 5 ones. And I gave the guy, I was going to give him 7, and then I realized that he should get something to drink. Something I learned from listening to NPR for years. There was a lady whose mom was homeless, and she had had to deal with that for years and years and years of her life. And she came to really understand what homeless people go through. And one thing they go through is that they're hydrated. So she said, one thing you can do for a homeless person, you can give them money or not give them money, but think about getting them some water and bringing them water. I said, you should probably get some water. And I said, do you like this stuff? There are these like 7-Eleven brand, like Gatorade type things with lots of vitamins. And I said, this has got vitamins. And he was like, oh yeah. And I was thinking, $7 not gonna be enough. I'll give him $8. And I was like, well, now that I've suggested vitamin water, that might not be enough either. So I just gave him $9. So I could have just kind of given him the 10. But this way I'll have that $1 if somebody's being a little bit, they're asking for money and I'm not sure if they're really sincere or a nice person or just causing trouble. And I just want to get through the transaction. I can give them $1 and then go on my way. And that can be very helpful sometimes. So I kept the $1 and I gave him $9. And he said, oh, God bless you, miss, or something. And I said, sure. And then I thought, well, I wanted to say something more meaningful. But then I thought, well, saying sure is good because it suggests don't worry about it. When my dad was dying, I got him like 3 or 4 pairs of socks, and my late husband was like, well, you're getting him a lot of socks. He's only going to be alive for a few more weeks. And we were driving in his car, and I said, in my late husband's car, and I said, I want my dad to have the experience before he dies of abundance. I want him to have that. And I accidentally nipped one of the socks with some kind of cutting device, and he was all sad, but then my late husband sewed it up for me really nicely, and they were Polar Tech socks for nighttime. Yeah, so I thought, why shouldn't he have the feeling of like, sure, like no problem, like abundance. And then I looked around in this beautiful neighborhood where I'm kind of struggling, having a sort of a war of wills and a war of PR, which is a nice velvet kind of conflict. It's best to kill them with kindness and use PR, public relations skills, to just stay here, which is weird because I was supposed to inherit half the house, but under the influence of Parkinson's and the cognitive problems that it causes, my late husband came up with other ideas just 6 months before he died. So it's like for 11 years you've been told you're going to inherit this house that you didn't actually think was the right thing for you, because what about your kids who were promised it, and then it's like you promised it to them, took it away, gave it to me, promised it to me, took it away, gave it to them. My stepson, who's a couple years older than me, had the very brilliant and wise and kind idea that all 3 people who were promised the house should just share it equally, which would have cut into his percentage from 50% to 33% now. What's a third of 50? I don't know. Anyway, but now my husband wouldn't go for it. Yeah. He thought they could preserve this as part of his legacy, but they clearly can't. They are way too busy with their own lives. I don't even know if they knew that was their mandate. Anyway, so I live in this beautiful neighborhood, and I looked around at, the gourmet bakery, pizzeria, Nablone, and all these things, and I thought, this is an abundant universe, and why should this guy not have a feeling of abundance? So why do I need to say anything more to him then? Sure. Meaning like no problem. I always think that it gives me good luck. When in difficult times, I like to give money to people more than I normally would, because I feel that it gives me good luck. And that's worked, because my beautiful goddaughter, who some of you have seen her picture, for those of you who are on my Candor Channel chat group have seen her picture. She sent me a picture today. It looks like something out of Carnival in Brazil or Mardi Gras. She says it's more like a pride parade. I didn't know she participated in pride parades. She's definitely into the guys. She said she's like a dog. She dogs guys. And my late husband would have called that bird dogging. Well, see, still a dog. Okay, 13 and a half minutes. Is that unlucky? Or is that very lucky? I don't know. It's supposed to be something associated with witches who are really just like midwives and herbalists and stuff who happen to be female. Don't forget to press the like button if you're signed in on YouTube. Subscribe if you like this kind of thing. But if you don't like this kind of thing, don't subscribe, because apparently it doesn't help that much if you subscribe, but you don't actually watch the videos. A full watch can be helpful. This is an unusually long one. Some of my videos are less than a minute long, or less than 2 or 3 minutes. And, if you feel like sharing with anybody, that'd be awesome. It'd be like almost beyond my wildest dreams. Okay. Bye, everybody. Oh, I got my wedding ring and my commitment ring. My wedding ring from my late husband. My commitment ring that I have with my new sweetie is amethyst, white sapphire, and little tiny white diamonds. It's a kind of a vaguely rose gold band. Bye. An afternoon in the Elmwood.